Hey everyone, it's Brian Altano for IGN, and this is the Famicom Mini, Japan's answer to the classic Nintendo Mini or the Mini Classic NES. You can only get this in Japan. You'll be able to import it. It's based on the original Famicom instead of the original NES that you might have had in the US or in Europe. So let's take a look inside. Now, one of the main things to remember here is that this is a video game console, but it doesn't actually have a cartridge slot or anything. It comes with 30 games baked in on board. Right off the bat, you've got your My Nintendo slip, which gives you a little thing that I will cover up. Instruction booklet. But let's get to the actual console itself here. The NES, or the classic Famicom Mini. The Famicom Mini itself, very, very different design than what we had here in America. It's got this sort of off-white maroon color, which I really like. Buttons on the front, which don't really do anything except for the reset and power has like a click to it. No cartridge slot. So on the back you'll see an area for USB or HDMI out and also a DC in, which is the actual power adapter. One thing to note, this thing doesn't come with a power adapter, just like a lot of Nintendo products don't in Japan and Europe anymore. They kind of assume you have it already. So another really weird thing about this one is if you thought the controllers were really tiny or really short on the classic NES, the cables are just as short here, but they're actually hardwired to the system itself, just like it originally was in Japan. Now, to make up for that, so it didn't just have gigantic controllers, this one actually comes with two smaller controllers, which are to scale with the unit itself, but they click into the sides right here, or at least should, and look pretty snazzy. Now they are much, much smaller than the actual NES controller you might have grown up with, or even the Famicom controller you grew up with. So keep that in mind before you get this. Also inside the box, not a whole lot else, but you do get a little HDMI right here, and then a little USB thing to actually plug it in. So if you wanted to charge this off of something other than a USB port, you would have to buy an external basically AC adapter for it. But instead you can use this mini USB to USB thing, and this included HDMI cable, which will allow you to hook it up to pretty much any monitor or television. Same sort of issues are going to apply as you did with the classic NES. It's just kind of short, so you're going to have to sit within 3 feet of this thing. The buttons itself don't have reset or power buttons on them, or the controllers themselves, so you would actually have to get up and every time you wanted to change games, hit this button, reset, and go back into the menu. One thing that was really interesting about the second controller on the Famicom was that it actually had a microphone here, which they've baked in, but it doesn't actually work. So it's there for visual purposes only, aesthetically, but nothing actually for function. And obviously the games that are in there work around that. Speaking of games, it's got roughly the same games as the classic NES Mini, but a couple different ones, such as Final Fantasy II, which you can really only get in this. Packaging itself is really cool, really sleek. I like the overall unit. It's incredibly light and small. We can take a look at all sides of it. This is basically just fan service, and if you've been paying attention here in America or in Europe, these things have been pretty hard to get. So Japanese version might fare a little bit better. You have to import this guy, so look around online, and that's pretty much the whole deal. So $60, probably plus some extra cost for importing it, and even more if you want to pay for a power charger for it. But that's the Famicom Mini, and for all unboxings, all things video games, and Nintendo, IGN.